Hello and welcome back to another episode of Stoke Fan TV. I know we threatened to not do any more episodes until the new year, but big news, obviously, Narcís Pèlach, aka Chico, has been sacked. Pèlach has got the sack. I'm joined tonight by some regulars on the channel. We've got, obviously, main man Sam over in the corner there. He'll be joining us, and we've got Al May, there he is down in the bottom, and then we've got Hoppo, and I think Brett. We haven't seen you on one of the actual studio show. We haven't seen you on the studio show, have we? But we've got you in tonight as well. So we've got Sam, Hoppo, Brett, and Al. Okay. So anyway, without further ado, chaps, Narcís Pèlach, he's gone. Who's going to start?
Santa finally delivered, didn't he? I think that's
Yeah. Do we think it's a good thing? Are we all in agreement that this is a good thing?
yeah. I think after last
100%.
night, yeah, I think there was no. I'm like an advocate not sacking managers. I really am. I don't believe in. I believe in stability. But a couple of weeks ago, I was fighting his corner. But I think after last night and after Saturday, it was quite apparent. Like we needed that change. I think they just looked void of anything last night. They look low on confidence. It's an inexperienced manager with a very inexperienced team, a young team, lots of potential, a good team that could potentially do really, really well. But the manager's just he's inexperienced. So, like I think to be fair, it's like the statement says he's a good manager, but it's not the right time for him. Good luck to the guy in the future, but I don't think after last night it was inevitable he was going to go. He's just didn't look like he knew what to do. He got no plan B. He doesn't know his best starting 11. He doesn't know what to do with them. They just run out of ideas, run out of steam. They look lost. They look like it was men versus boys, and it's been like that now for weeks and weeks and weeks. So we all called it last night. Change was inevitable, really. So I'm not wholeheartedly shocked, to be honest with you.
Al, what do you think?
I agree with Ian, really. I mean, I was at Sheffield Wednesday. It got toxic, losing to 10 men. It got toxic in the ground. People calling for his head and for Walters' head. Look, I met him last night, funny enough, outside the ground and had a little chat with him. He's such a nice bloke, but nice blokes don't make good football managers, do they? And you know what? You've got to half blame Walters as well. I thought Schumacher, we liked him. He saved us. He stopped us going down. I thought he was just about to turn the corner. They had that spat at Oxford that we all sort of 50% know about. Nothing's been confirmed about that. And then he's gone and he's in. 3 wins in 18, 19 games isn't good enough for any team, let alone, the mighty Potters. And look, when you're playing 3 central midfielders out of position, you've got right back in the left back's position and things like that. And last night, Leeds, I thought they had 5 quality players on the park. Like Ian said, it was men versus boys. 20%, I can't even say it, 20% possession at home. It's a joke. A team like Stoke City. Look, I can go back, let's say the Premier League, and you can sort of resonate with the team, and beyond that, you always knew who was in the team, who was playing for Stoke. They had character, they had form. They did a nice thing on George Eastham last night, my granddad's favourite, you know what I mean? So, George Eastham, he was the man that did, Arnie, he was the man that did, Peter Beagrie, you can go on, there's a whole list, Chambo, they're just a whole list of players, and you knew who they were, what they were about, what they could do on the park, and where they were going to play. This Stoke team, I mean, it's just bizarre. 5 at the back at home. We had it with Tyrese last season. Tyrese up front on his own. No service. People booing him. It was just heartbreaking to watch. And last night,
Yeah, go on.
I was saying last night, fair play to him. First 5 minutes, we had 2 clear-cut chances. We should have been 2 up in 5 minutes. That would have maybe changed the game. It would have shell-shocked Leeds. But having said that, they were quicker. They were faster. They weren't losing the sloppy ball. You know what I mean? It got to the point where I was embarrassed to be a Stoke fan last night, and I've never said that before in my life.
I think you've made, yeah, exactly what you just said, Al, in terms of last night's performance. Funny you mentioned, just before I bring in Sam and Brett, it's funny you mentioned there, obviously, Schumacher, but you also mentioned Johnny Walters. He has come out following this sacking and he said something along the lines of Narcís, a talented coach, huge potential, works hard. He says he's got no doubt he'll go on to achieve success in the future. However, with the way results and performances have been in recent weeks, we have to accept with hindsight that he has not proved to be the right fit for the club at this time. He says that he takes full responsibility for that, and he's absolutely determined that we will now that they'll make the right choice, taking us forward.
Yeah, but Max,
Hang on one
sorry for
sec.
butting in, mate. Max, you've got to ask yourself, who's making the decisions at the club?
Well, he says here every decision we make is driven by our love for Stoke City and absolute determination to bring success to the club. Um, I mean, Sam, Brett, just what do you think? Do you think John Walters obviously come out, he's owned it?
He's come out. He had to.
Yeah. Go
He
on,
had
Tom.
to own it because if he weren't going to own it, then all the fans are going to still call for him to leave and like go with him. He had to own it, admit that he'd made a decision to keep his job. Really, I think that's why he's done that.
You think that's what he's owned? You think that, Brett?
Yeah, it's a difficult one, really, because you look at it and you think, well, he's obviously made it with good intentions. You know, he's pulled someone out that's clearly got, you know, a good reputation in the game. You know, and hopefully trying to kind of bring some of that into Stoke, which you appreciate. I think it was the ill timing. You know, that's probably not boded well with obviously the way performances have gone, and the whole thing's just it's turned into a disaster, hasn't it? Which is unfortunate, but I don't think for any way or reason he's done it. You know, out of spite or you know tried to kind of damage things. But yeah, who actually knows who's making the ultimate calls? You know, is it John or was it kind of Coates? You know, in the back of his ear. You just don't know, do you?
I mean, I'd say the knives were out, weren't they, for the past 3 weeks, maybe. I don't know how long, but they were out. I say not just for Palac, but for Walters as well.
And for John Coates, Max, they were screaming for John Coates at Sheffield Wednesday away.
There.
Yeah. So is he the instigator like he was with Tony Scholes? Who knows? They don't little bits, Max. This is the thing, you see. We all speculate, don't we?
Just want to say though, all this going for John Coach, I think the fans have got to really be careful because if it wasn't for the Coach family, I know it's been Peter, but if it wasn't for the Coach family, Stoke City would not be existing right now. They saved this club. They pumped millions and millions and millions of pounds, and I think the fans need to be a little bit careful when they're going for calling for John Coates because, say that family, we're indebted to that family. It wasn't that family, you know, we wouldn't have had 10 years in the Premier League. They were on the verge of going bankrupt after the Icelandic. So just be mindful. Don't bite the hand that feeds. Yes, made some bad decisions.
I'm 100% with you on what you've just said, mate, and I totally respect Peter and the family. Not me personally going for Coates. I'm just relaying what
you, Alan.
It was just what they were relaying. And the people were shouting for at Sheffield Wednesday away. You know.
Yeah.
Mate, the infrastructure at Stoke City is above and beyond Premier League.
Yeah. It is.
And it's Champions League, and it will be when they finish that new investment down at Clayton Wood. It's Champions League. But it's the team. We're focusing on everything but the team.
I think, to be honest, Alan, you've hit the nail on the head because when a couple of weeks ago, I think it was when Max, you were interviewing Dean Crowe, and Dean Crowe had brought somebody with him, and I was talking to him, and he was a Man City season ticket holder, and he said, "I've not been to this club for years." He says, "Well, wow," he blew him away. He says, "This is a Premier League setup," and it is. Everything is great within the club, apart from on the field. You know, they've got it drastically wrong. The club itself is great, the fan park, everything. They really are, as a club, trying hard, but on the field, it's just been an absolute shambles. So, you know, fans need to kind of remember that who's putting the money in into the
Do
club, start calling
do we
things.
th do we think, obviously Palak is gone now. Do we think that the manager is wholly to blame for the performances and the state of Stoke City over the last eight, maybe plus games? Or do the players have to take some responsibility? Do we have to start saying, actually, I mean, Sam, you quiet over in the corner there. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the players didn't respect the manager, to be honest. I don't think the players were fully with the manager on his plan, to be fair. And I'd like to see Stoke bring in someone maybe of a senior to the players, a bit older, because the last couple of managers have all been pretty young, to be fair. We need a manager that the players can look up to, someone that they can show respect to. Because when we had Shuey here, what isn't Fielding older than Shuey or whatever, or whoever it was, we had a player that was older than the manager on the bench or whatever. We need a player we can look up to, and standing out candidates on the betting at the minute, number two favourite Tony Mowbray. Now he's the sort of manager that I would quite like to see at Stoke because well, obviously he went to Birmingham and had to leave with illness, and he's a quality proven manager. And I think an older manager and a manager with a bit more experience than Pèlach, who I've said on shows before, never managed a football team before. And it was just a complete farce, and I don't know why we got him, to be honest. I said that from the start. We need someone with more experience.
I'm going to bring out in just a second now. I'm just going to get Brett's thoughts on that just quickly. Brett, what do you think to what Sam's just said and Palak
Yeah.
and who's coming in? And do you think he was too young? Is that the problem, or what happened? What's the problem?
I don't think it's an age thing. I mean, one thing personally I feel he did get wrong. Now I'm going to compare him to what Schumacher did when he first came here. How he had this kind of style of football, the Spanish way. We're going to play like I'm Pep Guardiola and we're Man City when he hasn't got the players to play that sort of system. And I think that was the problem. We need a more senior figure, someone that can look at what we've got, look at the capabilities of the players, and think, well, how can I get the best out of those boys? Instead of someone coming in and saying it's non-negotiable, we're playing like this. And I think that's where the dip in, well, I say dip in form, the immediate poor form kind of came from. Was it the whole game, his first one in charge, where you could see I didn't personally attend that one, but you could see on the highlights they weren't comfortable in the system. They were confused in what was going on, and it's just not clicked in that manner. So I would say, Sam made a mention there about Tony Mowbray, possibly someone of that ilk, with a lot of experience who can look at what we've got. First of all, bring a little bit of stability, and then think, right, how do I? What's the roadmap like going forward in terms of getting the best out of the current squad?
What do you think,
Sounds a
Al?
bit Sounds a bit like the Nathan Jones situation about him sticking with a tactic and not changing it up to suit his players. Because Nathan Jones had that diamond formation and he would not get rid of that diamond formation. And it was that diamond formation that we couldn't do. And it was that made us rubbish under him.
Sam, look, this chap inherited this football team and he inherited these players. Shuey was just about to turn the corner, in my opinion. Having said that, I was speaking to some of the players and I said, what's it like at the training camp? He said, oh, it's great down there. We sit around, we play pool, we play darts, we have a right laugh. I wanted him to say, oh, we're doing 100 laps of the pitch. You know what I mean? I couldn't get my head around it. And I'm not going to tell you who told me that, but that is a true story. And I was just like, you're kidding me. Then we've got this new guy in after the spat at Oxford away. He's inherited the players. He's come on the box. I'm a forward-thinking manager. My football's going to be attacking. You know what? I've said it to you guys many times. If I was in that dressing room, I'd say, right, lads, anyone who kicks it sideways, it's a £50 fine. Anyone who kicks it back, it's a £100 fine every time. And I tell you for nothing, that ball would never go sideways or back. It would
Do you
go
think then, Al?
forward.
Do you think then it's Palak? Do you have any sympathy for Polack? He's
I have,
obviously
well, yes and no. I have a bit of sympathy. He's inherited the team. What my biggest problem with the team is we need three experienced old heads. We need a Charlie Adam, that type of player. We need somebody decent in midfield who can command midfield. Have a little bit of experience. We need maybe a Robert Hoof at the back, somebody big and strong. I don't think Gibbo's your man. I don't think Rose is your man, and I don't think Wilmot's your man. I think they're too weak and too slow. I don't know. It's a difficult one, isn't it? Because we all see a different game as fans, don't we? And I'm sure you'll agree with that. You think, why are we playing that? Why are we playing five at the back? What's wrong with 4-4-2, 4-3-3, a typical Stoke City side? One up front. What's that about at home? You've got to be progressive. You've got to go forward. You want people to pay their money and come and watch exciting football. I said it earlier. It was shocking last night. Second to the ball, losing the ball, sloppy balls, giving it away, too slow. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, mate. I will say I wouldn't fancy Tony Mowbray down at Stoke. I don't think he's right for the club at all. If I was going to choose one, it wouldn't be Harris. It wouldn't be who else is out there? I'll tell you, it would be for me, Steve Cooper. And the only reason I say that, you go back a few seasons, he was in this position at Nottingham Forest. They were bottom of the league, and he turned them round from January onwards. I think it'd be ideal. But can you do it a second time with Stoke City? I think it'd be a good option, and he'd be my manager of choice. Not the best looking, but who cares? We've had the best looking lads, haven't we? But we've had, 7 or 8 managers now since Mark Hughes, and none of them can do the job. That guy did the job at Forest with hardly any budget, with players that were deemed as rubbish, half-hearted. He turned the club round. He's my manager of choice. Anyone else? I don't know.
Yeah, mate, you bang on there. Everything you just said, 100% agree with, mate. Yeah, he got to. This is probably the most important decision now they've made for years. They've got to get this right. Walters has owned it. He's put his hand up, said, I made it wrong. It's a wrong choice. A good, prospect, but it's the wrong time, wrong club for him. But we need somebody, got to get it bang on. We need some of that experience. Cooper, ticks all the boxes, as does probably. I've heard Moyes is a bit, might be an option. Possibly somebody like, they've got to go somewhere like, or Mark Robbins. But yeah, everything just said is bang on. And looking at the performances, it was just they're not doing the basics. I think probably Pèlach, he's got this way, the Spanish way. He wants to play flair, passing out, but it's a young, experienced team. I think you can overcomplicate it sometimes. I think you've just got to keep things simple. Do your job. Everyone does the job, gets the absolute basics right. Winning the second ball, the tackles, the running, the defending, the moving forward. Get your basics right. Then you can start looking at, being a little bit tactical and a little bit more advanced. And it's a young and experienced team, and it hasn't worked out for them. And this is where now we're at a point where we've got this next appointment vital. We need to get this right. It's got to be an experienced manager who knows the championship. Championship's incredibly difficult, incredibly, it's a hard league. A lot of Premiership managers, Pep Guardiola wouldn't do any good in the Championship. It's incredibly hard. So he's owned it, Walters. Now it's down to him to get it right. This next appointment is vital. They've got a good, talented young team there. You need, like Alan just said, now blend it in a little bit with a bit of experience. Somebody in midfield with a bit of muscle, bit of energy, a bit of who can pull the strings. They've got potentially. We could, if they get the right man in, we could end up going from having a disastrous season to having a probably all right, decent season, really.
Yes, fingers crossed. It looks as though we've lost Max and McCall, so I think now would be a good time to end the show. Just make sure if you're watching on YouTube to give the channel a like and subscribe. Is there anything else from you, Al, before we finish?
No, I'd just like to wish you all a happy new year, and hopefully we make the right decision, and we can all meet up and have a beer and put a smile on our faces for once. let's discuss a win instead of all this misery.
Yes, fingers crossed. Anything from you, Brett?
Yeah, all good my side. Thanks for having me on, and Merry Christmas to all the listeners.
Yes,
maybe
anything else from you?
2025 will be the year for the Stoke fans. Maybe. I'm not getting
And he's
carried away.
back.
He's back.
Ian, 10 wins, that's 30 points, mate. We're in the top 6.
Yeah, that's it. Let's think positive.
Ever the optimist.
Yeah, no, that's fine. We've just finished the show, Max, anyway, so no, that's fine. Catch you all soon.
See you later,
Cheers,
guys.
boys, mate.
Happy New Year, lads.
to you all, mate. Enjoy the rest of Christmas. Cheers, lads. Thank you.
Cheers, mate. Ciao.